I don't know if you can see my hat, but I got my Spurs hat on.
Oh yeah.
Definitely buying the Spurs. Like, okay, I think everybody's buying them as like a pretty good team for sure. Like, that's not really a hot take. I think I'm a little bit higher on what they can be this season in terms of their ceiling than probably a lot of people. Like, I think at full strength, this could be, the third or fourth best team in the West. Like, I
Mm.
would probably have it. OKC is tier one by themselves. Probably Denver tier two, but then I think I would have the Spurs at full strength with Wemby and everybody right there with the Rockets right behind them. I think they're going to be scary when they get that guy back. They're 9-3 without him since
Hmm.
he went down. They've had, I think, a top five, six offense since then. Even on the season, they're up there, certainly top 10, but it's gotten even better without Victor. Their defense has kind of fallen off a cliff since he went down, predictably. So, you know, you take the offensive system that they've established, and then you plug in a guy that I think is a top five player in the NBA, and what he brings defensively, not to mention his offensive skill set, but just adding that defensive impact back, like where they were certainly, I mean, they were the number one defense in the league for a while. I think overall they were probably top five with Victor. So you add him into the mix with what they've kind of established like these last 12 games. I think they're going to be scary. Like I think they're a team that can certainly win a playoff series and maybe two. I don't know if I'd quite pick them to go to the finals, but they're going to make some noise. I think as long as he can stay healthy, they're an interesting team. Like they've got some young guys. Like some of their important players are exceedingly young. When you look at Victor and Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, namely, but I mean, Oklahoma City last season had and still had some really young players, and
Yeah.
we see what they're doing. They've got a good blend. They've got some great vets there too. They've got depth, veteran depth in like Cornette and Harrison Barnes and Keldon Johnson and like these guys are playing really good for them. So I think they've got a lot going for them. They're a better shooting team than I expected them to be.
Hmm.
They're like middle of the pack in 3-point attempts, probably like I think top 10 or something in percentage. They shoot it pretty accurately from three. And the season that Harrison Barnes is having, and Keldon's been really efficient. Maybe not from three, but just overall. Champagny can really shoot it. So that was the big question with like Fox, Harper, Castle. None of them are great shooters, but they do have a couple of wings that can really shoot it. Wemby can shoot it, obviously. So that's not as much of a concern as I thought it would be. But yeah, for them to be this good without Victor, you take a team that's won 9 of their last 12, and then you add a top five player to it. And like Victor's in year three. This is not year one, Victor. This is not year two. Like he's ready. He's
Yeah.
ready to go. He's ready to win. And so is De'Aaron Fox. He's probably in what year nine now, and I mean, a lot of these guys are. And Castle's the leap that he's taken this season has blown me away. I mean, I was very high on him as a rookie. I didn't expect him to be quite this good in his second year, as high on him as I was. And Harper is obviously NBA ready and already super impactful with his rim pressuring ability. So you just have this constant rim pressure from Fox, Castle, Harper. You've got some shooters, you've got vets, you've got Victor. I really like Mitch Johnson as a coach. There's just a lot to love about this team. And I think anytime this conversation comes up of like, are they a contender? Are they a top four team in the West? Whatever. It's kind of like, oh, maybe next year. Like people tend to want to like slow this down or like, let's hold up. Like we're still young. We're just getting started. But I think they're ready to compete. Not beat OKC, but anything short of that really wouldn't surprise me as long as that 7-5 guy is there.
Yeah. I think I'll go quick and then Drew, I know you love a lot of guys in this team, so I'll let you go too. But Fox has been awesome since Wemby went out. And his shooting has been huge. He's at 39% from three
Wow.
on the season, which is a good deal above his career average and is huge for this team to be as good as they want to be, for him to be a good shooter, because then you start having a lot of guys that defenses need to respect from three. Between him, Champagny, Barnes, and Wemby, that's like a four like core rotation guys that teams really need to respect from three. And then Castle, Harper, like taking advantage of the space that creates, and Fox himself as well. So yeah, they're top 6 in offense on the season, which I don't expect that to go down too much when Vic comes back, if at all. I mean, it might go down a little bit because his efficiency still isn't amazing, but I think they'll still be a top 10 offensive team. And then their defense is a little below average right now, and I would expect that to creep back up into the top
Yeah.
10 with Vic on the court. So,
Did you just
yeah,
say you think the Spurs might get worse on offense with Vic?
I don't. What I'm saying is his usage with being, not the most efficient guy
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
I could see it dipping down from 6, and maybe more what I mean is
Like
they won't be this hot shooting for
that's what I was gonna say. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
they've been playing so well, like so much above expected, I think, since he
Yeah.
went down that like
Mhm.
if it does take a dip, it might not be because of him. It might just be that like they cooled off a little bit because
Yeah.
they've been really shooting it, really playing great. But like, yeah, I mean, he's a walking top five defense, if not
Yep.
higher. So
Mhm.
like we whatever their record is when he comes back, they instantly become a top five defense. And so, like you said, as long as that offense can stay in the top 10 and you can have a top five, six defense with Victor, I think at the very least, I mean, that's pretty good. There's probably not a lot of teams
Yeah.
in that conversation.
Yeah.
Because the Spurs have a bona fide, unique unicorn at the center of it all, who we know will be one of the best players of all time if he can just stay healthy. Steph Castle has turned into one of the like most under discussed young players like I can remember being this good this early. Dude's averaging 7 free throw attempts a game with no one respecting his shot from behind the arc. I'd always rather have a young player, working out to 3 levels from the inside as opposed to like a guy like Grady Dick, like who can shoot but is trying to figure out everything inside the arc. Um, Steph Castle's shooting like 63% on twos or something like that. Probably changed in the last couple of days. He's incredible. I mean, the raw stats 18, 6, and 7 on 50% shooting when he's making like one out of every four threes. And the defense, his calling card at UConn has translated to the league right away. If he can just figure out the turnovers a little bit, because he's still messy and he's being asked to do a lot with Vic out. But you guys didn't even mention, Vic was out. Castle was also out a couple weeks.
Yep.
He missed the second half of November, first week of December. It was like 3 weeks out. And then he comes back in his second game back and says, honey, I'm home against the Lakers. 30, 10, and 6.
Yeah, so good.
Buries a late three, not even, his that's not even his game, and he still had the courage to make that shot. The biggest question mark in his game. And, made Luka's life hard on a couple of possessions as much as you could hope to do with Luka. So, yeah, and we haven't even really talked much about Dylan Harper. My point is just, I agree with you, Brett. A lot of these young guys, especially in the modern game, because I think they get so much exposure and great training early. There's a lot of stuff wrong with the AAU and things we say to young guys now, but there's also a lot right. And dudes like the Thunder's core. So some people just enter the league at 19, 20, and they're grown men inside and out, and they're just like ready to take on this responsibility. And maybe we have to think a little bit differently about certain young guys. Now, if the Spurs end up in a playoff series this year and Steph Castle, goes 0 for 14 from three, we'll forgive him for it. But it's also possible that he's one of these special, like J-Dub young men who's just built for it earlier than we're used to. And I'm open to that. And I'm excited for the Spurs. I just really hope Wemby obviously can be healthy for the playoffs, because this will be a darling pick against a higher seed in the playoffs. Like
If it's like this versus the
yeah.
Lakers in the first
Oh,
round or
yeah.
something.
Or even the Rockets. Like there
Yeah, the
are a
Rockets.
few teams that are not, OKC, probably not Denver, just out of respect for that team's tradition. Who a lot of us will be super excited to take the Spurs over if Wemby's healthy, and that's what we got to pray for, because it's just a weird situation where Wemby's a lock to be one of the best ever if his body can just hold up. And I can't remember the last time I was that certain about a guy his age.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a very minor calf strain like this last thing. So it's like, he hasn't had I mean, he had a major medical issue last season, obviously. But in terms of like, I don't even want to say the names of the injuries because I don't even want to put that out in the universe. But
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, I think I think if he had been playing in the 90s, he probably would have just played through this calf strain. I think the teams in general are just being so cautious with all these injuries,
Mhm.
and then with a guy like Wemby, of course, and just the fact that they've been this good without him is just like icing on the cake. Like I think most people would have probably picked them to have been, no better than 500 over
Hmm.
this stretch, and they've just exceeded expectations, and I think in doing so have accelerated things a little bit. Like, okay, we can really be something, and yeah, man, and it just Castle, man, and Harper, like I can't say enough about those guys. Like it's just so cool. Like I haven't really seen something like this before, where you have this pair of a 19 and 21-year-old, I think, 6'6" slasher guards that like that's just what they do, but they do it in their own different
Yeah.
styles. Whereas like Harper is just really smooth, really polished. And Castle is more of a bully, just using his physicality, his athleticism. He has a lot of craft too, with like his D cells and his euros. He's got some stuff, but it's just like two very different approaches, and you kind of get the same result out of both of them. And if you can have two of those two and Fox on the court at all times, like that rim pressure, what that's going to look like when you have Victor waiting there when they might collapse on one of those guys just to get an easy one. It makes a lot of sense to me. So
Yeah.
I'm all in
Yeah,
And
and
already.
I've also just noticed because those guys are always at the rim, like you're dragging the other team's perimeter defenders like into the trees. It's harder for your opponent to get out in transition and punish you on the other side. It's different from
Yeah,
teams that are just, launching from deep and you're getting
right.
long rebounds and grabbing and going. Like, yeah, the Spurs are taking you into the deep waters even with Wemby out in that way. And Harper just has that lefty, like he'll just hang and use his body long enough to just create a little bit of space and finish over you. Yeah, exciting times in San Antonio.
yeah, and real quick on sort of the Harper Castle, both of them when they're playing together, I'm using my new favorite
Slash
website.
Brothers. Wait, Brett, did you come up with Slash Brothers?
I did.
Yeah,
Let's
that's really
go.
good. That's
Yeah,
really good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because
I hadn't heard it before for them, so I think I coined it. I'll take credit.
that's great. Yeah, because when in a league that a lot of teams are really kind of starving for like point guard play and guys who can initiate offense for other players on the team, having that trio of Fox, Castle, Harper is just like such an embarrassment of riches for them of just having three guys who can get downhill like that and generate good looks for other players or for themselves. I'm using my new favorite website, Data Baller. I just
Oh yeah.
love clicking the guys on and off and seeing what
Yeah.
the net
It's
ratings are.
so good. It's so
I'm
user
so
friendly.
addicted to it. Surprise! Fox, Castle, and Harper have not played a minute altogether yet this year. I'd kind of be curious to see what that looks like. Because those are three of their five best guys. So I kind of would like to see what that lineup looks like. It might not be enough shooting, but and any combination of or the Castle Harper combination has been like plus 20 net. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see what this team looks like at full strength. And then just to get a good dose of the Fox Wemby two-man game, which it seems like we'll get it for like a game or two, and then one of them goes out with something. So I want to see a long, sustained stretch of what that looks like with Fox's speed and the way he shot the ball this year. I think that's going to be just super dangerous for teams. And there's some teams that just won't be able to handle the amount of uh, length and athleticism and speed that they have because it can be overwhelming. We saw that against the Lakers last night. They couldn't handle the amount of athleticism that the Spurs were throwing at them, and they didn't even have Wemby. All right, or do you have a last
Wait, I
thing?
just call me a Debbie Downer. I'm still bummed that they committed so much long-term money to De'Aaron Fox because there's just a little. He's way way better and way different from Jalen Green. But I just sometimes I get a little bit of Jalen Green last year on the Rockets vibes, where there's so much young talent and athleticism and two-way commitment on the floor, and then you've got one guy who just wants to cross, kill a shot clock, and shoot a contested jumper. Like Fox is amazing in his own ways and obviously brings a lot to the table. It's just a lot of money, and especially with how good Harper and Castle look so soon, it might have been cool to see them build a little bit more organically, but
Because
maybe I'll be proved wrong.
I think because Harper's a point guard. I don't know that Castle's one of those guys like kind of like Anthony Black. Like there's certain guys in the league where
Yeah.
I feel like
Or
they're
like
just bad.
Amen?
Those
They're
are
just
my guys.
basketball players. Yeah, me too. I love them, and I almost think they don't a positional label doesn't really fit them. They're just basketball players, and like I think Castle's that. Like you could kind of look at him as a wing. Like
Yeah.
I mean, and he's certainly big enough. Like, but I don't know that he's a point guard.
Hmm.
As
Doesn't
good as his
but it
playmaking has
doesn't
been this,
matter. Who's the
no,
Thunder's point guard?
right? It doesn't. You know, he can handle the ball. That's for sure. He can play make. But I think Harper feels like a true point guard to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know that they would have traded for Fox if they knew they were getting Harper.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't have
Yeah.
known. But then there's the money and committing
The
to
money.
Fox that you know, I guess rightly there's been some questions asked about it. But you know, I mean, when you look at how good he's been for them, it's hard to argue with the results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't it's that's interesting they haven't played a single minute together. I mean, it's not surprising. I guess I haven't seen them together, but
Probably the Castle injury.
it's always two of them. And
Hmm.
I think we'll see that three guard lineup before
Yeah.
long. I mean, Harper obviously has enough size, I think, and Castle is it can play up for sure. So I think it's viable. It just, you know, you would probably I don't know what you would go with. Maybe you put like a Champagne or a Barnes at the four with
Yeah.
Vic, and you maybe have enough shooting there. But
I think
that'd be
it'll work.
interesting.
I think it'll work because at least short midterm, Castle is like a wing who has some point guard DNA in him, can set the table, and Harper is like a point guard with some of just off ball slasher killer mode. And so I think long term, whether Fox is a part of that or not, they could really complement each other as like co-facilitators.
I
Yeah.
think so.
And real quick, shout out Luke Cornett as well, who's kept their front court afloat with Wemby out, and with Luke Cornett on and Wemby off, or Luke Cornett on, Wemby off. They're still plus 6.5, so he's been holding it down when he's out there.